Transition is a place where everything seems uncertain and up for grabs. But how could getting clear on your needs and values impact the way you navigate the change? Great to be back with you on Navigate for our final episode of the year. I must admit this almost didn't happen, as me and my family are in the middle of a big move, saying goodbye to our home in the Sierra Nevada mountains of Northern California and saying hello to Idaho. Yeah, I'd like to think, we're pretty good at this moving thing, having, after all these years of globetrotting, but I'm not sure if they're getting easier. Could be age, I don't know. Anyway, here we are, and I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation with my guest today. Janna Thomason has been a registered nurse for over 22 years with a background in critical care, post-anesthesia, informatics, and nursing professional development. In her own words, Janna says, "We as nurses give to our patients and to our families and then wake up one day and feel lost." Janna is committed and passionate to help the midlife nurse develop clarity by understanding who they are and how they can live their best life and do their best work in their relationships and with their patients. So thanks for joining me, and let's dive into my conversation with Janna. Welcome, Janna, to the Navigate podcast. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today. So welcome.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we originally have connected through the REALIFE process as facilitators in the program, and that's how we originally made this connection. And I've become more and more curious about your work and what you do. And I think our listeners today are going to find it very intriguing and interesting to hear that story as well. So let's just start. Can you give us a brief sketch of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, my name is Janna Thomason, and I am a wife and mama of 2 kids and a nurse as well. And recently, in the last several years, I have become an Enneagram coach as well as a life coach, helping people in helping professions, coach them along to figure out, who they are, what's important to them, and then how to get there. Helping profession, especially in the midst of the pandemic, is having a really tough time. And by working with my clients, we can really kind of dig down to who they are, what are their needs and values, how do they align in their life, and if it's not aligning, how to get them to align.
Got it. Yeah, so important, such important work. And when you say working with clients in the helping professions, can you tell me more about that? Because there are, that's pretty broad. Where would you say there's an area you work mostly in with your clients in terms of their backgrounds and what they do?
Yeah, I most of the time work with nurses, nurse practitioners, some sort of healthcare, but I also have some clients that are in the animal space as well.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Interesting. So you yourself have training as a nurse, right? And you've worked as a nurse, or are you currently also doing that as well?
Yeah, I have been a nurse for almost 23 years. I have been in a lot of different areas. I worked critical care. I worked the trauma and burn ICU. I've worked a little in recovery room. I've done nursing informatics, and currently my day job, I am a clinical consultant for an electronic health software company. So that is what I do during the day, and then during evenings, weekends, I help coach women who are stuck, lost, and struggling to kind of figure out where they fit and where they need to go.
Yeah. Well, I can see how, it's always interesting to see how when we're doing something that we love, or we're on that journey of doing something we're passionate about, how God is so good to bring our past experience and connections and network into that, so that there's an automatic kind of connection there for you, of course, certainly in the nursing world.
Yes, and that's I've always been very much in tuned to people and how and why they do the things that they do, and this has just been a beautiful beautiful path that's led me here to be able to help those people that help others, and figure out how they can pour into themselves. They pour out all of this time, this energy, love, and how they can become depleted and empty, and how to refill that cup so that they can continue to give.
Good. So tell me this, if you can, where would you say your number one passion lies in terms of the work that you do?
I love seeing aha moments and showing women that they can, things can be better. They can have empowerment. They can have energy and joy. And I work with a lot of women that are ready to quit and just call it a quit. And being able to say, let's take a pause here. You don't have to leave the profession completely. Let's look at, let's do some inner work, that self-discovery, that self-awareness, figure out like what's important, and figure out where you get energy and where you have passion, and then see how that aligns with your role or your job. And needs and values come into that. It's great to be able to put language and words to how we felt our whole lives, so that value, putting words to that is really powerful. And seeing how those values then align with our role. And maybe they don't. And that's where that, that challenge becomes, are you on course? Or are you off course?
Good. Yeah. And so I'm glad you mentioned needs and values, and I want to get to that in a moment, because I think that's something that both you and I have in common. In terms of the work we do. But you mentioned, and just I'm kind of thinking of areas where clients or potential clients, people that we have conversations with, that we rub shoulders with every day, how some of the areas they get stuck in. And you mentioned one of them being a big one being, gosh, they come to me ready to quit. And that's a huge trigger there for hopefully, like you said, an aha moment of, man, I need to do something here. I need to actually shift or pivot, do something here to make a change. So what are some other challenges besides feeling like, hey, I'm ready to quit here, I'm just done? What would be some other challenges that people are coming to you with?
Feeling of stuck.
Yeah.
Like I'm just living, I'm just going through the motions and not necessarily thriving, and just kind of waking up feeling a little lost in their way. Or, many times I'm working with women that are in midlife, and something happens in midlife where we start to reflect, and many times they don't know where to go, how to start, what that looks like. And so a lot of times it's just kind of setting out, a map and kind of figuring out and helping them find their way.
Yeah. So that feeling of stuckness. So I'm hearing things that you and I think have a lot in common in terms of the people we are drawn to and work with, people who are drawn to us and what we offer. So let's get back to this needs and values. And this, for our listeners, just to know that this is an area of discovery, to look into needs and values, especially when you're in a big transition season or you're feeling stuck and not having the clarity you'd like, or you need to move forward. And so it's actually an assessment that we use, a needs and values assessment, and people can take this, and it's a great way for people to get just a maybe some reminders, maybe some things they already knew, but kind of forgot or that have been neglected in terms of their own needs and values and what drives them, what, like you said, what energizes them. From my experiences, and I'm sure yours is too, Janna, that people have some real aha moments discovering, oh, wow, these are my needs and values. And this is why I'm feeling like this, because they aren't aligning. Let's make it personal though first. For you, how has getting clarity on your own needs and values impacted the way you live out your message?
Yeah, and for me personally, peace is a need of mine, and I never really was able to articulate that. Previously, I always knew that when things were chaotic and life was crazy, that I did need time to retreat, and being able to identify as a need, then I am able to say, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours away, disconnected, phone is off, getting outside in nature, knowing that peace is a real need for me. And so once I figured that out, I was like, what? I feel better. I feel so much better. And my joy increased, my anxiety decreased. And so that was a really big aha moment for me to be able to name that. I need, and then feeling that in my body, knowing that peaceful feeling in my body is really life-giving and in a need.
Yeah. Okay. So need.
What about you?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. Yeah. Good question. I would say, what was highlighted to me when I did the actual assessment was a couple areas. One being freedom, though. That is a kind of a need that must be met so that I can feel unrestricted, able to see what's in front of me and move forward, make some of my own choices. And I think that's where, when I realized that, it also took me back to times when I felt restricted, when I've been encumbered by maybe other people's agendas or a restrictive environment somehow. I even think of the season we're in. If COVID wasn't enough, now in Northern California, we're in the middle of wildfires, and we have been evacuated actually from our home. And thank the Lord, our home is right now still standing, and looks like things are going to be okay. But we're still in this restrictive place, and I feel restricted in so many ways. I can't get to my home, my place of peace, because you mentioned peace. Peace was also on one of my needs that were highlighted. I need that peace and comfort and security of just having my own space and comfortable surroundings, which is just really interesting for me because of the season we're in right now. But yeah, those are a couple needs that were highlighted for me. What about values? Let's go back to you. What are one or two values that were highlighted for you when you did this exercise?
Of course, one of, along with my Enneagram type, I am a type 2, the value of sensitivity and niceness, as well as beauty. And so I do, and when I say beauty, I mean like being outside, being in nature, sunsets, sunrises, that awe, it does help me to pause. And so that being around that is really makes me feel good. It makes me be connected to something greater. So yeah, that's, and one of the things that has been kind of cool in my family, is that I made everybody take the needs and values. And so I have everybody's needs and values listed on our fridge. And so being able to know what my family members' needs and values are has been really eye-opening.
Great.
So when I see somebody that they're, when my son is cranky or fussy or snippy, I can go, okay, what's going on here? And look at that on the fridge and go, oh, he's happy. Freedom is one of his, and he's now having to go back to school every day. Get up early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. What you said, I made them take this assessment. I made them do the needs and values. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Well, I think that's a great way to kind of get in touch with your loved ones and what motivates them, and kind of the why behind behavior, attitudes, things that are happening, in our own, in our own homes, that, man, if we just had some insight here, things could be a lot different and open the door for some communication.
Yeah. And I tell, for me personally, and I tell my clients that when you live within your values and when you live a values-based life, it really does lead to greater joy and fulfillment in your life.
Yeah. Well, values, when I did this, beauty also stood out because and again, like you said, beauty being, for me, the outdoors, getting out, breathing fresh air, which I can't do right now because of all the fires, so just even that makes me realize that's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling here. I haven't been able to get out, and my wife loves to paddleboard. She can't go out on the lake and do that, just for health reasons, So, and then adventure was another one for me, and I think it all kind of ties back to freedom. I don't feel the freedom that I had before to adventure out as much, but boy, I'll tell you, last month we were resolute that we were going to do a trip to Turkey, and we lived and served in Turkey as missionaries for a number of years, and we hadn't been back in several years, and we were like, this is going to happen, even with all the restrictions, and we're going on this adventure, because dang it, that's part of who I am, and I need that, and it actually worked. We did it. We jumped through more hoops than we're used to with the COVID restrictions and all of that, but we did it. And so, yeah, sometimes we just got to push through these things, right?
Yeah. When you understand it, that it is a value, that it makes you be willing to go through those extra hoops and to work a little bit harder, to make that happen, because, you're trying to get that value met.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I always say that it really does get you to your goals faster and helps you make wiser decisions. And, your whole coaching business and values of the compass, it helps us make those decisions when we know those values and those needs. It helps us make wiser decisions.
For sure. Yeah. I'm always going back to that in my business as well. Yeah, you bet. Transition just seems to be a place where needs and values get attention or highlighted, and rightly so, because so much in transition feels chaotic, feels uncertain, and we're grasping for something certain, some clarity. And you mentioned midlife. Sometimes that's the space we work with folks in midlife, and or making a big career shift. And tell me about how your work with needs and values integrates or connects with transition.
Yeah, transitions are tough, and usually, long term, we look back and say that, okay, we made it through, but sometimes people, the clients that I've been working with, sometimes they're thrown into transition when they didn't choose it. Maybe I've, somebody that was battling a cancer diagnosis, loss of job, divorce, grief, loss of a loved one. I'm working with a client right now that lost her husband. And so many times it's not, something that they choose. And so they're kind of in this lost way, and the needs and values is the perfect tool to help kind of figure out, what is important. And so they can choose those things, the right path, the right decision to align with those needs and values. It's just a great starting point. And it gives them it equips them and gives them a little bit of confidence, to be able to compare this, should I do this or this? Is this good, positive energy, or is this draining?
Right.
And as you're making decisions, you can pull out those needs and values and say, is this aligned? Does this feel right? And, again, that leaves us to fulfillment and excitement.
Absolutely.
Forward energy.
Yeah. What you're saying about those forced transitions, the ones that we don't always have control over, they happen to us.
Right.
And they're not the planned or proactive transitions that we, in an ideal world, that's what we'd like to see. But there's purpose in that. And I think that what you're saying here, sometimes those forced transitions are a wake-up call or just a signal that God may be doing some new things here.
Yeah.
And what are some of those things he's doing to set us up for the next season and be successful in what's next. And so paying attention to that, I think, is kind of where we've been kind of some of the things we've been talking about, just paying attention. And now we don't get political on this, but I'm wondering, because we're talking about forced transition, do you feel like there's, in the helping professions, there's going to be some of those kind of forced transitions, maybe some of its choice as well, but due to vaccines being mandated, that some people are going to be choosing to go a different direction in their careers and work? Or what do you feel like what's happening there?
Oh, I mean, it already is. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
Right.
I'm seeing that. And, it's very personal to people. And, they're, I'm hearing it every single day. And so, that's definitely a point in their, a time in their life where they're having to go, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to have to, or, I don't agree with this, but I'm going to go here. So absolutely. Yeah. So this, there is some forced. I think we're going to see that a lot in the next coming weeks or months. Yeah.
Well, this has been really good just to kind of camp out on this area of needs and values. And I just want to encourage our listeners, you can actually get a hold of this assessment and work with a coach around processing some of the areas and the things that are highlighted by doing this exercise. And it doesn't take long, 30 minutes or so. You can get a real good, get some clarity around that, and then follow up with some coaching. And man, I just want to promote it, whether they want to work with you, Janna, on this. I know you offer the needs and values. I offer it. We both offer follow-up coaching for that. And so I just want to put that out there, and we'll put in the show notes how our listeners can get a hold of that, can connect with you, and just spend some time, take a season of reflection and just a little journey of discovery, I think would be really cool.
Yeah. And I always say it's a gift to yourself, to go and reflect and discover and put those words to what's important to you and what you need to feel good and to need to move forward. And it is a gift to yourself. And we know that self awareness is key and helps us move forward. Yes.
I couldn't agree more. Well, as we wrap up here, what are you currently working on that you're excited about right now, Janna?
I am currently working, I have a offering that a free decision-making document that helps you break down by checking into those 3 centers of intelligence, the head, the heart, and the body. And so if you're up against a big decision, I do have a free guide that is available, and you can find that on my website or on any of the social medias. I'm at Enneagram Nurse, all one word. And so it's a free guide to kind of help you with that discernment process of checking in with, how does my heart feel? What does my head think? And what is my body sensing? And so that's what I'm working on right now. I do offer one-on-one coaching, and I have periodic virtual classes. I love incorporating vision boards into some of this work, and, imagining and dreaming of what is possible, and how to put those needs and values into your vision and vision boarding. So.
Nice. Love it. Well, and again, like I said, we'll put that information in the show notes so our listeners can learn more, connect with you. But it's been a great conversation, Jen. I really appreciate you joining me for this episode of Navigate. I look forward to a continued collaboration and partnering on the things we do with the real life process and whatever else comes up down the road. But thanks so much for joining me for this conversation.
Thank you, Tim. I so appreciate the opportunity and love all of the beautiful work that you're doing.
Thank you. Likewise. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks.
If you're in a place where everything seems up for grabs and you're trying to get clarity on those next steps, how could getting clear on your needs and values impact this season of change for you? Check out the show notes for this episode and reach out to Janna Thomason or schedule a call with me at encompasslifecoaching.com to gain clarity and move forward in 2022. Moving a podcast forward means helping more listeners find us, and if you've enjoyed the content we're providing, you can subscribe so that you're sure to get in on the next episode. And we would really appreciate you taking a moment to give us a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever platform you use to listen to these episodes. That's a wrap for this episode of Navigate. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the new year.